Throughout his tenure as archpastor for the North American Missionary Diocese, Bishop Tikhon would return to Russia to provide reports on his efforts and the needs of the diocese. The expansive diocese was far away and often beyond the comprehension of the members of the Holy Synod located in faraway Russia. The vastness of the continent, coupled with new challenges and experiences found in Bishop Tikhon's reports about life in North America, were unheard of in Russia. There, Orthodoxy had been the predominant faith for centuries, and despite invaders and political struggles, the Church was certainly not a minority or its members treated as outcasts. Yet the reputation of Bishop Tikhon as a wise archpastor for his flock instilled confidence in his clergy and people. And the Holy Synod approved the consecration of 2 bishops to serve with Bishop Tikhon, who would be elevated to the dignity and rank of archbishop. Returning to his missionary diocese in 1905, now entitled the Diocese of the Aleutians and North America, Archbishop Tikhon was able to rely on Bishop Innocent Pustinsky to care for the needs of the faithful in Alaska. He could also call upon the newly consecrated Bishop Raphael Hawawini, who was based in New York but traveled across the continent serving the needs of the Syro-Arab Orthodox communities. As the fledgling diocese was maturing and evolving, Archbishop Tikhon reflected on the monastic vows he had taken back home in Pskov. He understood the value and importance of dedicating one's life to God and accepting the call of monasticism as a way to draw closer to our Lord. He considered the benefits monasticism held for the Orthodox Church in North America. Throughout the history of the Church, the prayers and witness of monks and nuns had been essential for the spiritual growth and formation of its clergy and faithful. Monastic communities became places of pilgrimage, gathering places for members who wanted to be spiritually refreshed before returning to the world. This would be especially necessary in the multi-faith, multi-ethnic cities found on the continents of the Western Hemisphere. Archbishop Tikhon directed hieromonk Arseny Chagovtsev, Father Alexander Hotovitsky, and others to locate land which could be used for a monastic community. By July, the task was completed, and on July 31st, 1905, at Archbishop Tikhon's direction, Bishop Raphael dedicated the grounds of North America's first Orthodox monastery in the small town of South Canaan, Pennsylvania. The community was placed under the heavenly protection of Saint Tikhon of Zhdansk, Archbishop Tikhon's patron saint. It was a fitting connection since the 18th century archpastor had been a spiritual writer and zealous pastor for the faithful in his care and had inspired the labors of Archbishop Tikhon during his ministry in North America. The majesty of God was apparent in many ways through the labors of Archbishop Tikhon, which were bearing fruit for countless faithful in the diocese. On May 30th, 1906, the 3 bishops of the North American Diocese led a pilgrimage to St. Tikhon's Monastery for its formal consecration. The work of the monastic community would not be focused solely on internal needs, but also those serving the surrounding area. Archbishop Tikhon also established a children's home for Orthodox orphans, providing for their physical and spiritual care and education. Bishop Raphael consecrated the home and encouraged the faithful to be mindful of the needs of others and being examples of Christian love.
In just 10 short years, Archbishop Tikhon had taken a loosely connected network of ethnic parishes and organized them into a diverse community of Orthodox Christians thriving across the continent. There were still plenty of opportunities for improvements. Many parishes faced the uncertainty of future viability, and the financial stability of clergy was not always a given. Yet, through it all, Archbishop Tikhon reminded his flock to rely on the message of Jesus Christ, that his yoke was easy and his burden light. In 1906, Archbishop Tikhon proposed a gathering for the Church in North America unlike any other in those times. For centuries, the Church had relied solely on its hierarchs for administrative authority and decisions. Archbishop Tikhon drew upon the early history of Christianity and plans being discussed in Russia, where clergy and faithful worked together deciding the work of the Church. This approach could be used for the North American mission. He proposed organizing a gathering of clergy and laity to explore the topic of how to expand the mission. This sobornost, or gathering of like-minded people, would be a conciliar approach to overseeing the work and mission of the North American mission. However, while plans were underway for the gathering, and just a few weeks before the council was to be convened, Archbishop Tikhon received word that he was to be transferred back to Russia and assume the archpastorship of the diocese of Yaroslavl. His successor, Archbishop Platon Rozhesvensky, was en route, but would not arrive in time for the council, so Archbishop Tikhon was asked to supervise the deliberations of the council, which would be held with his blessing and authority under the chairmanship of Bishop Raphael.
Bishop Raphael opened the first All-American Council March 5th through the 7th, 1907, in Mayfield, Pennsylvania. Among those in attendance were the priests John Kochorov, Alexander Hotovitsky, Alexis Toth, and Sebastian Dabovich, and other missionary clergy and lay representatives from parishes which Archbishop Tikhon had visited during his nearly 10 years in North America. The council provided guidelines and directions on how to manage various aspects of missionary work within the diocese. It also confirmed an administrative structure for the Church in North America. Its primary significance was that future councils would be convened to guide the work of the American Church. Before leaving North America, Archbishop Tikhon blessed the clergy and faithful, encouraging them to hold fast to the mission and vision of orthodoxy in North America. On Orthodoxy Sunday that year, Archbishop Tikhon gave his farewell homily in which he called upon his flock not to make excuses for becoming lax in their faith. He said that living in a non-Orthodox land was no excuse to ignore the teachings and practices of their Orthodox faith, but to instead hold fast to these treasures so that others might be attracted to it. Archbishop Tikhon encouraged them to dispel the idea that orthodoxy was just for those from the traditional Orthodox lands. Instead, he proclaimed that the Orthodox faith was to be preached to all nations, Matthew 28:19.